What if the real reason it's taking so long to conceive isn't your age, your timing, or your luck, but the food on your plate? For decades, women trying to get pregnant have been handed the same advice. Take a prenatal, cut the fat, eat clean, wait. And every year, more couples sit in fertility clinics wondering why their bodies aren't responding. Most people don't know this, but the foods that actually fuel ovulation, build healthy eggs, balance hormones, and prepare the uterus for implantation aren't sold in pill bottles. They're sitting in your refrigerator, your butcher's case, and your local market. Stick around because number 7 on this list is a common kitchen staple that most women have been told to avoid. And a Harvard study of over 18,000 women found that the low-fat version raises the risk of ovulatory infertility by 85%. And number 19 is an ancient Andean root that, in one 6-month study of women with menstrual disorders, raised ovulation rates from 10% to nearly 43%. These foods don't just support fertility. They restore the systems that make pregnancy possible. Let's get into it. Here are 20 foods that help you get pregnant faster, ranked from foundational to absolutely essential. Number 1, liver. If there is one food on this list that does the most for fertility per bite, it is liver. Beef liver, chicken liver, lamb liver. The traditional food that almost every culture treated as sacred for women trying to conceive, and the food modern eaters have almost completely abandoned. Here is what makes liver irreplaceable. It is the single richest natural source of folate on Earth, and folate is the nutrient your body absolutely must have to ovulate, to fertilize, and to support the first weeks of pregnancy when the neural tube is forming. The folate in liver is the natural form. Already in the active state, your cells use directly. The folic acid in most prenatal vitamins is a synthetic version that your liver has to convert before your body can use it. And here is the part that almost no one talks about. An estimated 40 to 60% of the population carries a gene variant called MTHFR that reduces their ability to make that conversion, which means a huge portion of women taking folic acid every day are not actually absorbing what they think they are. Liver bypasses that problem entirely. Beyond folate, liver is loaded with B12, retinol, the active form of vitamin A, heme iron, copper, and choline. Every one of these directly supports egg quality, hormone production, and uterine lining health. You don't need much. 2 to 4 ounces, once or twice a week, is enough. Pan-fried with onions, blended into ground beef, or taken as desiccated capsules if the taste is too strong. This is the most fertility-dense food you can put on a plate. Number 2, oysters. Of all the minerals that determine whether a woman ovulates and whether an egg matures properly, zinc is at the top of the list. And no food on earth carries more zinc than oysters. 6 raw oysters deliver around 32 milligrams of zinc, nearly 3 times the recommended daily intake in a single serving. For comparison, you would need to eat almost a full pound of beef to match that. Zinc is the mineral your ovaries use to develop a healthy follicle every cycle. It is required for the production of progesterone, the hormone that prepares the uterine lining and holds an early pregnancy in place. Without enough zinc, follicles don't mature, ovulation falters, and progesterone drops, and the lining your embryo needs to implant into never fully forms. Zinc also plays a critical role in the final maturation of the egg itself. Researchers have shown that as an egg prepares for ovulation, it pulls in massive amounts of zinc, billions of zinc atoms, and then releases them in what scientists call the zinc spark at the moment of fertilization. That spark is part of how the egg activates and begins development. Without enough zinc in the body, the entire signaling sequence weakens. The reputation of oysters as a fertility food is not new. Coastal communities from ancient Rome to traditional Japan prized them specifically for reproductive vitality. The Romans called them an aphrodisiac. Modern biochemistry has now mapped exactly why those traditions held. Oysters also deliver iodine, selenium, B12, copper, and the omega-3 fatty acids your eggs use to build healthy cell membranes. They are, gram for gram, one of the most fertility-supportive foods that exists. Once or twice a week is plenty, fresh, smoked, or canned. They are not just an indulgence, they are a fertility tool. Number 3. Pasture-Raised Egg Yolks. For decades, women were told to throw away the yolk and eat the whites. From a fertility standpoint, this may be one of the most damaging pieces of dietary advice ever given. The yolk is where the fertility nutrients live. Egg yolks are one of the richest dietary sources of choline, a nutrient so important to fetal brain development that pregnant women need nearly twice as much as the general population. They contain natural vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, B12, and the cholesterol your body uses as the raw material to build every reproductive hormone you have. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all of them start as cholesterol. When you cut cholesterol out of your diet, you cut the supply line for the very hormones your cycle depends on. Pasture-raised yolks are dramatically richer than conventional yolks. The hens eat grass and bugs, and the omega-3 content of their yolks reflects it. The yolks are deeper orange, denser in carotenoids, and higher in fat-soluble vitamins. Eat 2 to 3 whole eggs daily, soft-yolked, soft-boiled, poached, or in a quick scramble. You are eating a hormone factory in shell form. Number 4. Wild-caught salmon. Egg quality is the single most predictive factor in conception. And egg quality, more than almost anything else in the diet, depends on the fats you eat. Wild-caught salmon is rich in DHA, the long-chain omega-3 fat your eggs need to build healthy cell membranes. Every egg you ovulate carries a membrane made of fatty acids. The healthier those fats, the more resilient the egg, the better it survives fertilization, and the more likely it implants and grows. A study published in 2017 found that women undergoing fertility treatment who had higher omega-3 levels in their blood had more than double the odds of conceiving compared to women with lower levels. That is not a small effect. The mechanism comes down to fluidity. The membrane around every egg is a delicate balance of fats, and the type of fat in your diet directly determines its quality. A diet high in seed oils and processed fats produces stiff, rigid membranes that struggle to fertilize properly. A diet rich in omega-3 from fish produces fluid, flexible membranes that respond to sperm contact and develop normally. Salmon also delivers vitamin D, a fat-soluble vitamin that acts more like a hormone than a vitamin in the female reproductive system. Low vitamin D is associated with lower IVF success rates, irregular cycles, and PCOS. The vitamin D receptors in the ovaries are dense, which is the body's way of saying this nutrient is essential there. Most women in northern latitudes are running on insufficient levels for most of the year. 2 to 3 servings a week. Wild-caught when possible, grilled, baked, or pan-seared with the skin on for the full omega-3 load. Number 5. Sardines. If salmon is the headline fish, sardines are the underrated workhorse. Sardines are one of the few foods that deliver omega-3 DHA, calcium from the soft edible bones, and vitamin D, all in one tin. Calcium and vitamin D work together to regulate the hormonal signaling between the ovaries and the brain. When the signal is clean, ovulation happens on schedule. When it is muddied by deficiency, cycles drift, follicles fail to mature, and conception slips further out of reach. Sardines are also rich in coenzyme Q10, a compound concentrated in the mitochondria of every cell. Eggs are the most mitochondria-rich cells in the female body. They depend on CoQ10 to produce the energy required for fertilization and early embryo division. CoQ10 levels drop with age, and that drop is one of the most well-documented causes of declining egg quality. Eat sardines straight from the tin with olive oil and lemon. Mash them on whole grain crackers. Add them to a salad. Twice a week is enough to make a measurable difference. Number 6. Grass-fed red meat. Iron deficiency is one of the most overlooked causes of difficulty conceiving, and grass-fed red meat is the single best dietary source of the form of iron your body actually absorbs. A landmark study from the Nurses' Health Study found that women with the highest intake of iron from animal sources had significantly lower rates of ovulatory infertility. The mechanism is straightforward. Without enough iron, the ovaries cannot produce healthy follicles. Cycles become irregular or stop entirely. Even mild iron deficiency, the kind that doesn't show up as full-blown anemia, is enough to disrupt ovulation. Here is what most women don't know. By the time iron deficiency shows up on a standard blood test as anemia, the reproductive system has already been suffering for months. Ferritin, the iron stored inside cells, drops first, and ovulation can falter long before hemoglobin levels do. A ferritin level that doctors call normal is often far below what the ovaries actually need to function well. The iron in red meat is heme iron, the form bound to animal protein. It is absorbed at roughly 15 to 35% efficiency. The non-heme iron in plants is absorbed at 2 to 20% and is further blocked by phytates and tannins in grains, nuts, tea, and coffee. There is no plant food on earth that matches a serving of grass-fed beef for usable iron. Grass-fed beef also delivers zinc, B12, B6, creatine, carnitine, and conjugated linoleic acid, a fat that has been studied for its role in ovarian and metabolic health. The grass-fed version contains significantly more omega-3 fat and more vitamin E than grain-fed. 3 to 4 servings a week, a simple steak, a burger from quality meat, a slow-cooked stew. This is one of the most fertility restorative meals you can put on a plate. Number 7. Full-fat dairy. This is the one that contradicts almost everything you have been told. For 30 years, women have been steered towards skim milk, low-fat yogurt, and fat-free cottage cheese, under the assumption that less fat means better health. But for fertility, the opposite is true. The Nurses' Health Study followed over 18,000 women for 8 years to track the relationship between dairy intake and conception. The findings were striking. Women who consumed 2 or more servings of low-fat dairy per day had an 85% higher risk of anovulatory infertility, meaning their cycles failed to produce a viable egg. Women who ate full-fat dairy daily had significantly lower rates of the same condition. Here is the mechanism. When dairy is skimmed, the fat is removed, and with it, the fat-soluble hormones that naturally exist in milk. What's left behind is a higher proportion of androgenic compounds that can disrupt the delicate hormone balance ovulation depends on. Full-fat dairy keeps the hormonal profile intact. Low-fat dairy distorts it. A daily serving of full-fat plain Greek yogurt, whole milk, raw cheese, or grass-fed butter rebuilds the hormone-supportive fats your body needs to ovulate cleanly. If you have been pouring skim milk in your coffee while trying to conceive, switch tomorrow. Number 8. Bone broth. The uterus is not a passive container. It is a tissue that has to thicken, soften, and grow new blood vessels every cycle to receive an embryo. The raw materials for that tissue are amino acids, specifically glycine and proline. Bone broth is the richest natural source of both. When you slow simmer bones for 12 to 24 hours, the collagen locked in the bone matrix breaks down into gelatin and into individual amino acids. Glycine and proline are the building blocks of every connective tissue in your body, including the uterine lining, the cervix, and the placenta that will eventually form. Bone broth also delivers minerals leached from the bones, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and the gelatin coats that heals the gut lining. Gut health and fertility are tightly linked. A leaky, inflamed gut creates systemic inflammation, and inflammation is one of the most well-documented suppressors of ovulation and implantation. A cup of warm broth in the morning, or used as the base for soups and stews, is one of the most fertility-supportive habits in any kitchen. Number 9. Avocado. The body cannot make hormones from nothing. Estrogen, progesterone, and the entire reproductive cascade are built from fat, specifically from cholesterol and the monounsaturated fats your liver uses to assemble them. Avocado is one of the most concentrated sources of monounsaturated fat in any whole food, and in the context of fertility, that matters more than almost anyone realizes. A study of women undergoing IVF found that those who consumed the most monounsaturated fat had more than 3 times the odds of a successful pregnancy compared to women with the lowest intake. The researchers traced the effect to better egg maturation and improved hormone signaling. Avocados also deliver folate, vitamin E, vitamin K, and potassium. The vitamin E is particularly important. It is a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects egg cells from oxidative damage as they develop in the follicle. Half an avocado a day, on toast, in a salad, mashed into eggs, It is one of the most usable, most affordable fertility foods you can buy. If this is the kind of food information you want more of, real, rooted in how the body actually works, subscribe to Forgotten Medicine. Every week is another list of foods that fix what most people are still trying to medicate. Now, let's keep going. Number 10. Lentils. Lentils are one of the few plant foods that earn a permanent place on a fertility plate, and the reason is folate. A single cup of cooked lentils delivers about 358 micrograms of folate, almost 90% of the daily requirement, in the natural form your body absorbs without conversion. For women who can't or won't eat liver, lentils are the strongest plant-based folate source available. Beyond folate, lentils are rich in plant protein, iron, and soluble fiber. The fiber matters more than most people realize. It feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut, and those bacteria help metabolize and clear excess estrogen. When estrogen clearance is sluggish, levels rise, the cycle distorts, and ovulation suffers. Lentils also stabilize blood sugar. Insulin resistance is one of the most common drivers of PCOS and anovulation, and lentils, slow digesting, fiber-rich, low glycemic, actively reduce that resistance over time. 3 to 4 servings a week, in soups, stews, or a simple lentil salad. They are a quiet workhorse on the fertility plate. Number 11. Spinach. Spinach is one of the most concentrated sources of folate and magnesium in the produce aisle, and both are essential for ovulation. Folate, as we keep coming back to, is the nutrient your body uses to build healthy DNA in every developing egg. Each follicle contains millions of new cells dividing rapidly as the egg matures. Every single division requires folate to copy DNA correctly. When folate is low, those copies become flawed, and the follicle either fails to mature or releases a damaged egg. Magnesium plays a different but equally important role. It regulates the hormonal signaling between the brain and the ovaries. Magnesium deficiency is associated with irregular cycles, increased PMS, and elevated cortisol. And elevated cortisol is one of the most well-documented suppressors of ovulation. Roughly half of American adults fail to meet the daily magnesium requirement, and women under chronic stress burn through it faster than the rest of the population. Spinach also delivers iron, vitamin K, and a family of plant compounds called nitrates that improve blood flow. Increased blood flow to the uterus and ovaries means better follicle development and a more receptive uterine lining when implantation needs to happen. Cook spinach lightly with olive oil. The fat improves the absorption of its fat-soluble vitamins, and gentle cooking actually makes the iron and calcium more available than raw, or wilt it into eggs, soups, and sauces. Aim for a large handful daily. Number 12. Pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are one of the best plant sources of zinc, the same mineral oysters deliver in abundance, and they bring it in a form that is easy to add to almost any meal. But the standout fertility role of pumpkin seeds is their support of the second half of the menstrual cycle, the luteal phase. After ovulation, the body needs to produce enough progesterone to maintain the uterine lining and support a possible pregnancy. Zinc is required for healthy progesterone production. Without it, the luteal phase shortens, the lining thins, and even fertilized eggs struggle to implant. A 2 tablespoon serving of pumpkin seeds delivers around 2.5 milligrams of zinc, a meaningful daily contribution. They also bring magnesium, healthy fats, and tryptophan, an amino acid the body uses to make serotonin, which downstream becomes melatonin, which protects egg quality during sleep. Eat them raw or lightly toasted. Sprinkle them on yogurt, salads, or oatmeal. A handful a day is plenty. Number 13. Walnuts. The fat in your diet during the months before conception is one of the strongest predictors of egg quality, and walnuts are one of the few plant foods that deliver the right kind of fat in meaningful quantities. Walnuts are the richest plant source of alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3, and they deliver something almost no other nut does: significant amounts of melatonin. Melatonin is best known as the sleep hormone, but inside the ovary, it functions as a powerful antioxidant that protects developing eggs from oxidative damage. A study published in 2012 found that men who consumed about 2 ounces of walnuts daily for 12 weeks showed significant improvements in sperm vitality, motility, and morphology. The researchers traced the improvement to the omega-3 and antioxidant content. The same nutrients support egg quality in women. A small handful daily. Add them to oatmeal, yogurt, or salads. Eat them as a snack with berries. Number 14. Berries. Every egg in a woman's ovary has been there since before she was born, which means every egg has been exposed to oxidative stress for the length of her life. Protecting eggs from that damage is one of the most important things diet can do for fertility. Here is what oxidative stress actually does inside an ovary. Free radicals, unstable molecules generated by inflammation, environmental toxins, processed food, alcohol, and chronic stress, attack the membranes and DNA of developing eggs. Over years, that damage accumulates. By the time a woman is in her late 30s, the average egg has absorbed decades of oxidative wear, and the rate of chromosomal abnormalities rises sharply. Antioxidants neutralize free radicals before they can do that damage. Berries are one of the most concentrated sources of antioxidants in any food category. Blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, all of them are rich in anthocyanins, the deep purple and red pigments that neutralize free radicals before those free radicals can damage egg cells. Anthocyanins also reduce inflammation throughout the reproductive tract, which helps create the calm internal environment an embryo needs to implant. A study of women undergoing fertility treatment found that those with higher dietary antioxidant intake had significantly higher rates of clinical pregnancy. The researchers attributed the effect to reduced oxidative damage in the ovarian follicles. Berries also deliver vitamin C, fiber, and a small amount of natural folate. They are low in sugar compared to most fruit, which makes them safe for women managing insulin resistance or PCOS, conditions where blood sugar spikes can directly disrupt ovulation. A cup a day, fresh or frozen. Eat them with full-fat yogurt, in a smoothie, or by the handful. Number 15. Citrus fruits. Vitamin C is not just an immune nutrient. In the female reproductive system, it plays a direct role in hormone production and progesterone signaling. A study of women with luteal phase defects, meaning their progesterone dropped too quickly after ovulation, found that vitamin C supplementation improved both progesterone levels and pregnancy rates. The mechanism is rooted in the way vitamin C supports the corpus luteum, the structure that forms after ovulation and produces progesterone for the second half of the cycle. Oranges, grapefruit, lemons, and limes are all rich sources. A medium orange delivers about 70 milligrams of vitamin C, and the natural fruit form comes packaged with bioflavonoids that improve absorption and antioxidant effect. Citrus fruits also dramatically improve iron absorption. Eat an orange with a serving of grass-fed beef or lentils, and you can double the iron your body actually takes in. For women working to correct iron-related ovulation issues, that pairing matters. Squeeze lemon into your water. Eat an orange as a snack. Add grapefruit to breakfast. Number 16. Sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are one of the richest sources of beta-carotene in any common food, and beta-carotene is the precursor your body uses to make vitamin A. Vitamin A is critical for the development of the corpus luteum, the temporary structure in the ovary that produces progesterone after ovulation. The corpus luteum is the most yellow tissue in the human body, colored by the dense load of carotenoids it pulls in to do its job. Researchers have found that the highest concentrations of carotenoids in the entire female reproductive tract are stored right there, directly inside the structure responsible for sustaining early pregnancy. That is not coincidence. The body specifically directs these compounds to the place they are needed most. When vitamin A is low, the corpus luteum is weaker, progesterone drops faster, and the luteal phase shortens. Short luteal phases, anything under 10 days, are one of the most underdiagnosed causes of early pregnancy loss and difficulty conceiving. A fertilized egg simply doesn't have enough time to implant before the lining is shed. Beyond beta-carotene, sweet potatoes deliver complex carbohydrates that support stable blood sugar, potassium that helps regulate fluid balance, and vitamin B6, a nutrient directly involved in progesterone production and the metabolism of estrogen. The sweet potato is a slow-burning starch that won't spike insulin the way refined grains do. For women with PCOS or any insulin sensitivity issue, that matters enormously. Insulin and reproductive hormones are tightly linked, and stable blood sugar is one of the most underrated levers in restoring a regular cycle. Roast them whole. Mash them with butter. Slice them into the side of any meal. Aim for a few servings a week. Number 17. Asparagus. Asparagus is one of the most concentrated vegetable sources of folate, about 270 micrograms in a single cup, cooked. That alone earns it a place on a fertility plate. But asparagus brings something else that very few vegetables do. It is one of the richest natural sources of glutathione, the body's master antioxidant. Glutathione protects developing eggs from oxidative damage, supports liver detoxification, and helps clear excess estrogens that can disrupt the cycle. Asparagus also contains a compound called asparagine, an amino acid that supports kidney function and fluid balance. Traditional medicine systems across India and East Asia used asparagus root specifically to support female reproductive health, and modern research is beginning to validate those uses. It is in season in spring but available frozen year-round. Roast it with olive oil and lemon. Steam it lightly. Add it to omelets and grain bowls. 2 to 3 servings a week. Number 18. Dark chocolate. Stress is one of the most underrated fertility killers. When cortisol, the primary stress hormone, stays elevated, it actively suppresses the brain signals that trigger ovulation. Cycles lengthen. Follicles fail to develop. Conception slips further away. Dark chocolate, the kind with 85% cocoa or higher, is one of the few foods that directly supports the body's stress response. It is one of the richest dietary sources of magnesium, the mineral most depleted by chronic stress and most essential for nervous system regulation. It contains flavonols that improve blood flow, including blood flow to the reproductive organs. And it delivers a small amount of caffeine paired with theobromine, a compound that produces a calming, mood-lifting effect without the spike and crash of coffee. A 2017 study of male fertility found that flavanol-rich cocoa intake was associated with improvements in sperm motility. The same antioxidants protect egg quality on the female side. 1 small square or 2 of high cocoa dark chocolate daily, not the sugary milk chocolate version, the bitter, dense, 85% kind. It is one of the few indulgences that genuinely supports the goal. Number 19. Maca Root. This is the one mentioned at the start, and the science behind it is extraordinary. Maca is a root vegetable native to the high Andes of Peru, where it has been used for over 2,000 years specifically as a fertility tonic. Traditional Andean farmers fed it to their livestock to improve breeding rates. They fed it to their wives and daughters trying to conceive. Modern research has begun to validate what those communities knew empirically. A 6-month study of 189 women with menstrual disorders found that supplementation with a blend including maca raised the proportion of ovulating women from 10% at the start of the study to nearly 43% by the end. By the end of the 6 months, 37% of the women had become pregnant. The mechanism is adaptogenic. Maca does not contain hormones. It does not push estrogen up or down. Instead, it appears to support the hypothalamus and pituitary, the master glands that coordinate the entire reproductive cycle. When those glands are signaling clearly, the ovaries respond, and the cycle works the way it is supposed to. Maca also reduces cortisol, supports thyroid function, and improves libido, 3 benefits that compound the fertility effect. 1 to 3 teaspoons of maca powder daily, blended into smoothies, oatmeal, or warm milk. Start small. It has a strong, malty flavor, and build up. Number 20. Seaweed. The thyroid gland controls metabolism, body temperature, and the entire downstream cascade of reproductive hormones. When thyroid function is even slightly off, what doctors call subclinical hypothyroidism, fertility suffers dramatically. Cycles become irregular. Ovulation falters. Miscarriage rates rise. Iodine is the single mineral the thyroid cannot function without. Every molecule of thyroid hormone is built around iodine atoms. That is why the gland is named after the Greek word for the violet color iodine produces. Without enough iodine, the thyroid simply cannot make enough hormone, no matter how hard it works. And seaweed, kelp, nori, wakame, dulse is the richest dietary source of iodine on Earth. Iodine deficiency is more common than most women realize. The mineral has been removed from most modern bread products. Sea salt, despite the marketing, is not a reliable source. Only iodized table salt is. Vegetables grown in iodine-poor soil deliver almost none. As a result, a significant portion of women trying to conceive are running on partial thyroid output without knowing it. The first symptoms are subtle: feeling cold all the time, slow morning energy, hair thinning, slightly longer cycles. The deeper symptom is reproductive. Beyond iodine, seaweed delivers tyrosine, the amino acid the thyroid combines with iodine to actually build the hormone. It also provides selenium, which is required to convert thyroid hormone into its active form. 3 nutrients working together, all in one food. Traditional coastal cultures across Japan, Korea, Ireland, and the Pacific Northwest ate seaweed daily for generations. Their rates of thyroid-related fertility issues were a fraction of what modern populations see today. Seaweed corrects deficiency within weeks. A single sheet of nori delivers a meaningful daily dose. A small piece of kombu in a soup broth releases enough iodine to support the gland. Wakame in miso soup. Dulce flakes sprinkled on salads. You don't need much, and too much iodine is its own problem. 2 to 3 small servings a week is plenty. If you have made it all the way here, you have just received a complete blueprint for restoring fertility through food. Start with the foundation: liver once a week, pasture-raised eggs daily, wild-caught salmon or sardines twice a week. Give it 30 days and watch what happens to your cycle, your energy, and your skin. If your luteal phase is short, add pumpkin seeds and sweet potatoes. If your cycles are irregular, add maca and seaweed. If you have been on years of low-fat dairy, switch to full-fat and watch what changes. If you found this video valuable, subscribe to Forgotten Medicine and drop a comment below. Share which food on this list you or someone you know has tried and what you noticed. Your comment may just help someone else who is reading the comments tonight, hoping for the answer they have not been given. Because the body knows how to make a baby. It just needs the food.